What is going on, kings and queens of this wonderful wonderland that we call YouTube? So if you recall, roughly about 8 months or so ago, I did a rant toward a little video game developer by the name of Square Enix. And in this rant, I more or less called them out for what seemed to be putting their much-loved series, Kingdom Hearts, specifically Kingdom Hearts 3, on the back burner in favor of other projects. I even bring up some displeasure with one of those other projects, Final Fantasy VII. And in those 8 months, not a whole lot has changed. I'm still just as mad as I was then. The only difference is now, instead of me, saying my spiel about Kingdom Hearts, I really feel as though Final Fantasy VII fans and Kingdom Hearts fans alike can kind of join hands and share in each other's pain, because it seems that Final Fantasy VII has suffered the same fate as Kingdom Hearts 3. And what I mean by that is it has been delayed and there is no clear future or clear-cut timeline for its release. But my question is why? And I started looking to answer this question by looking for something in both projects that stuck out to me. And there was one common factor in both those projects that made my light bulb go off. And that is the director, whose name is Tetsuya Nomura. Now, to be honest, before doing this video and doing a little bit more research into him specifically, I directed a lot of my anger towards him. I blamed him a lot, which is a shame because I know how good he is. He has had his hand in basically everything that makes Square Enix great. And when I realized this and looked into it a little bit more, I started to wonder why that is. Why would somebody that is such a great developer, director and creator and all those things, why all of a sudden, with these last handfuls of projects, has he faltered? Why has this last few years of Square Enix been so rough for him? And if you don't know what I'm referring to, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, which released in January of this year, was delayed. Final Fantasy 15, as you know, was delayed. And of course, Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 7, the remake, have been delayed multiple times. And then I realized what the problem really is. I realized why the reason that he's had so much trouble specifically. And the reason is that he's kind of had to juggle them. And I feel bad for him. Because the reason why 2.8 was delayed was so he could save Final Fantasy 15. And then when Kingdom Hearts 3 got out of hand, he left Final Fantasy 15. Contrary to rumors of him being kicked off the project, he actually left and turned it over to somebody that was less busy and capable to do it, so he could turn his full attention to Kingdom Hearts 3, and I only imagine that was the case with the Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. So, things being so slow in regards to production of these big titles isn't necessarily Tetsuya's fault. But that still brings to mind another issue. Even though it's not the director's fault, I think it's still a Square Enix issue. Specifically, I think Square Enix has got too much on their plate at once. And I looked up a couple fun facts for you. Square Enix in 2016 released 22 games, which is more than Ubisoft and Bethesda combined, who are tied at about 9. And as of 2017, we are in, of course, the second month of this year, and they already have 8 firm release dates for games, which is a lot considering we're only in the beginning of the year. So, yeah, I think the fact of Square Enix biting off more than they can chew and just not admitting that that's a problem is definitely a major factor. But, with that being said, there are some things, as much as I've been able to look past in the last couple of days of research towards Nomura, there's some things I can't get past in regards to Kingdom Hearts 3. The game has been known and circulating the internet for 3 years now. It was announced in June of 2013, and it's been a waiting game ever since. But for the amount of time that it's been a thing, which is almost 4 years now, you should have a firm understanding of what platforms your game is going to be on, and the major kind of storyline and game mechanics of your game. You should have that down packed by now. And of course, what I mean by that in detail is the Xbox One fiasco regarding Kingdom Hearts. Now, originally, I don't know if I brought this up in the last rant, and if I did, I'm just going to reiterate myself and state my opinion on this clearly, because it's something I do feel passionate about, I guess. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to be the first Kingdom Hearts game that is a multi-platform. The rest of the games have always been a Sony license and have never appeared on anything else, minus the DS and a couple of handheld things. But primarily, it's always been a PlayStation exclusive. But now, with the final chapter of a game series that has spanned over 10 years now, the last chapter is going to Xbox. Initially, that's not a problem, because I'm one of the people that has stated the video game war, the console war, is stupid. I'm a collector. I enjoy things about Xbox. I enjoy things about PlayStation. I enjoy them both. So the idea of, Xbox players getting to enjoy Kingdom Hearts as they never have been able to before, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's super cool. But there is a little bit of a red flag, however. Problem being that, like I said, all the games are PlayStation exclusive other than this one. And the thing about Kingdom Hearts is that it's not a game that you can randomly just pick a game. You can't just pick a point in Kingdom Hearts, the timeline, and play it and expect to know every little piece that's going on. I've been playing it for years now, and I still don't fully understand every little nook and cranny of the game. And the only way that an Xbox player is going to be able to experience that and basically want to pick up Kingdom Hearts for the Xbox is if they've had experiences on the PS2 versions of the game. But a lot of die-hard Xbox fanboys, where that's the only thing they play, aren't going to do that. They're not going to go to the enemy, which I see as a major problem. I don't understand why 1 out of 9 games or so is going there. It's a big step. It's an awesome step, but the base idea of it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. However, an easy way to fix this, because all the games are coming out this year for the PS4, for current gen. 2.8 came out, as I said, and they're redoing 1.5 and 2.5 for the PS4. So all the Kingdom Hearts games that have been released are going to be on the same system. An easy fix for this little Xbox debacle would be to make it so 2.8, 1.5, and 2.5 go to the Xbox One as well as the PS4, so the Xbox One players can catch up and enjoy the series the same way everybody else has. The problem and the mistake in this is that didn't happen, and at least for now in the foreseeable future, there is no acknowledgement of that happening, which I don't understand, and that's something that I don't necessarily agree with. Now, the whole thing that sparked my opinion piece on this is that the original announcement was that it was going to be, for the first time ever, a multi-platform. Recently, people were noticing that on the Square Enix / Kingdom Hearts website, whatever, that Xbox One was taken off the console list for Kingdom Hearts 3. And then there was articles all over the place saying that Kingdom Hearts 3 was back to being a PlayStation exclusive, which was kind of a sigh of relief, because as much as I don't care and I think it's a cool idea, I still equivalate the whole idea of Kingdom Hearts going to the Xbox the same as bringing Halo or Gears of War to the PlayStation. It just doesn't seem right. I'm okay with it in the long run, but as a gamer that gets used to tradition, you see my problem there, and I understand other people's issues with that as well. So, for a little bit there, all seemed more or less right with the world. Kingdom Hearts 3 was not going to be coming to the Xbox, and it was going to stay a PlayStation exclusive. Recently, that little mistake, that little rumor, was debunked by Square Enix, who said, even though there's no firm release date, that it will appear on the Xbox. Okay. Like I said, my first initial thought in reading all this and catching up with it is that, we're almost 4 years into the development of this game, and you still can't decide uh, whether or not it's going to be on the Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. Uh, which, that whole little mishap wasn't a confirmed thing. It was just kind of a suspicion that Square Enix cleared up. But still, the fact that the console where Square Enix is going to appear is still kind of has been juggled around and toyed with, and there's been issues. It's kind of a big deal. The other major thing, what I meant by gameplay, is that Tetsuya went on record to say that Kingdom Hearts is a long way off from being completed. Kingdom Hearts is, kind of pretty far behind schedule. And he went on record to say that no real worlds have been confirmed. And they're still looking into, the pieces that they want to fit into the game and the direction that they want to take it. Which is understandable because, on one hand, because there is a lot of things to consider when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, which worlds to bring back, which ones to add. But I can't excuse the fact that, like I said, we're almost 4 years in, and this is still a problem. The direction of your game and the levels and the worlds and all that should be something that's figured out within the first few years of development. And we're getting late in the fourth quarter here, as far as the rumored time that Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to come out. I'll touch base on that in a little bit, but we're far enough along to where things like will the game appear on the Xbox One and confirming worlds and levels and things like that. We're far enough along to where these things shouldn't be a problem. And as much slack as I want to give Tetsuya, those are things that as a fan I just can't get past. Now, the other major issue that I've stumbled across, and I'm sure a lot of other Square Enix fans would wholeheartedly agree on, is that Square Enix is without a doubt the best at trolling when it comes to Kingdom Hearts news. Everything since the announcement in 2013 that has been leaked or whatever has been taken down, and Square Enix is firmly in the driver's seat of what is said, what is released, what is teased, which is all fun and dandy because, if it comes out of Square Enix's mouth, it's going to be official. The problem is that almost nothing comes out of their mouth. And when it does, it's very little. It doesn't really answer any questions. It doesn't give us anything that we've been waiting for. It just more or less leads to more questions. I don't remember exactly what year. I want to say it was E3 2015. One of the major points of Square Enix's conference was that they said prior to it that they were going to have some news regarding Kingdom Hearts 3. And of course, me and my friends went ballistic, and that was the one thing out of the whole conference that I tuned in for. But I was disappointed. This is basically how the conference regarding Kingdom Hearts went. They showed a short trailer, maybe a 2-minute trailer of Kingdom Hearts 3, that basically said nothing, confirmed nothing, and then they went on to say that the newest thing that they're working on, Kingdom Hearts wise, is a browser game, Kingdom Hearts X or Kingdom Hearts Key, which really kind of came out of nowhere and didn't make a whole lot of sense. Fast forward to around the time that 2.8 came out. They said that there was a whole bunch of Easter eggs regarding Kingdom Hearts 3, and there was a secret message within the games on the disc and stuff. So I have been playing 2.8 rather religiously because I wanted to get to the bottom of what that mystery was. And sorry if this is a spoiler or anything, but I looked it up to confirm this because I was kind of dumbfounded at what I found. But in the credit sequence of Dream Drop Distance, there's a little mini game type thing where you go through the credits and collect gold letters, which kind of unveils a message. And that message is, all the message is, I believe it's something along the lines of, basically Kingdom Hearts 3 is the next game. Something we already know. DDD is the basically the last official release, the last remake, if you will. So of course it's going to be the next game. I'm going to have a review of 2.8, which I'm very excited to do, so I'm not going to say any more about it, but I just wanted to throw that little piece of disappointment in there in regards to 2.8. They then have said that after 2.8 came out, they wanted to save all the news for after 2.8 came out. They wanted to not talk 3 until they got 2.8 out because there was a lot of buzz about it, there was a lot of excitement, and of course it was delayed, so they really wanted to knock things out at a time. To which the only thing that was said, basically up to a certain point, is that Kingdom Hearts is far from being done. It's something I've read about and heard about a million times. It's something I've mentioned a few times so far in this video. Is that instead of announcing, the release date or anything like that, basically everybody in Square Enix is saying it's far from being done and we don't have a clue. And unfortunately, the same thing has been said about Final Fantasy VII, which is something that no fan of a video game series, or video game in general, wants to hear, especially when we're almost 4 years out now. But anyway, I read today, I'm going to kind of skip around here. My facts and my things that I'm saying aren't necessarily in chronological order. But I read today that they plan on having a teaser for Kingdom Hearts 3 in March at some type of anniversary orchestral concert for Kingdom Hearts, which, makes sense. To a point, because it's Kingdom Hearts anniversary, it's a big ordeal, but to unveil it at an orchestral concert, of all things, instead of like an E3 or something where it's more relevant to the public, I guess, is, kind of bizarre to me. With that being said, I didn't see a date in March, but March is fast approaching, so I guess, if we go through March and they say something, great. If not, I won't be surprised. And, to be quite honest, I won't be surprised if the whole Xbox thing gets tossed around up in the air like 12 more times before the game comes out. Because I don't really trust Square Enix. Going back to what I was saying, there was a major announcement. A couple weeks ago now, Square Enix got on social media, got on Twitter, got on Facebook, all that stuff, and said that they had a major announcement. And of course, because what was originally planned and said for after 2.8 came out, everybody thought it was Kingdom Hearts related. And I was one of those suckers, if that doesn't give you a clue. I clicked on it, I read a couple different articles on this major announcement, only to find out that it had absolutely nothing to do with Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy VII for that matter. Didn't even mention them at all, other than the fact of the writers of the articles stating the fact that this had nothing to do with Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy VII. What it did have to do with is something very cool, but also very random. Because from out of nowhere, they signed a deal with Marvel to make an Avengers game. And that was their big announcement. Now, I'm not going to knock it too bad because I like the Avengers and I'm kind of excited to see what they do with it. The problem is, though, I think it's a bad time. Because I want to be excited about, Square Enix and Marvel teaming up to make an Avengers game. I want to be excited about that. But because of the days that we're living in, where we're all craving news of Kingdom Hearts 3 and whatever, it was kind of doused out by that disappointment. And it left me kind of angry because it just goes back to Square Enix biting off more than they can chew with yet another seemingly random project that isn't the major things that need to be done. And I guess it wouldn't, my opinion of that announcement would be far different if they said, okay, major announcement. This is what's going on with Kingdom Hearts 3. This is what's going on with Final Fantasy 7. And guess what? The big deal is we're also making an Avengers game and we've teamed up with Marvel and we're working on this. Yay us and yay you guys. That would make more sense to go boom boom Avengers, not just cut out everything having to do with what we want to hear to give us some random crap that I don't say we don't care anything about, because that's not the case, and I'm sure some Marvel fans that are very, very excited about this announcement are going to chew me out in the comments. But like I said, I just don't think the way that they went about announcing it and leaving out news of other things that Square Enix fans care about was the right thing to do. Now, as the title of the video suggests, hope is all but lost when it comes to Kingdom Hearts in 2017. Because as I said earlier, all the remakes are coming out actually in March, which is probably why they're gonna save the big announcement for the orchestral concert in March, is because 1.5 and 2.5 actually come out in March. So throughout the calendar year of 2017, we have 3 Kingdom Hearts games, which is pretty good considering we've had to wait a considerable amount of time for anything Kingdom Hearts related or anything tied to Kingdom Hearts 3. But the thing is, I know all this is meant to tide us over and meant as a build-up, but it doesn't do a whole lot if people that you're building up for and building hype for, it doesn't do a whole lot if those people have lost patience and have lost faith. And to be quite honest, I'm almost to that point. Like, I've pretty much completed 2.8 in its entirety. And I did it fast, not only because I've been craving Kingdom Hearts, as probably, it comes as no surprise, but I did it for that little bit of light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 3, and I wasn't given a lot. And I just feel like, and I'll get more in depth in my review of 2.8, that it wasn't enough to go, you know what, I can wait a little bit longer. If anything, it kept me wanting more. And I don't know, just the whole idea of these little bleak announcements that may or may not come. Like I said, all roads, all signs lead to March now to see what becomes of the announcement. But overall, as a gamer who has been reading about all the delays and all the side random crap that Square Enix is doing, and to hear that basically the admittance that both Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 7 have no chance of coming out in 2017 because they're so far behind in production, and they still have a long way to go, doesn't really give me a whole lot of hope at this point as a Kingdom Hearts fan. Final Fantasy 7 people, the game has only been postponed a couple months, so they don't have it quite as bad. I'm one of them. It's probably a game I'm gonna check out, but as I've said time and time again, I'm much more on the Kingdom Hearts side of the spectrum. And to really hear that, it is where it is very disappointing, because I've already waited this long. I've waited since 2013, and there's no clear end to that yet. Is very concerning. And I guess the scary part is, for me, and I know this may be kind of illogical, is I don't want it to become an unreleased game where they get so far, like Half-Life 3 or more recently canceled Scalebound, I don't want it to be a thing up to a certain point and then just go, we couldn't get it done, or something dramatic and terrible happens to Kingdom Hearts. I want to see it done. I think they've come too far to quit, but it's just the wait. I don't know, boys and girls. I'm kind of running out of steam now that I've kind of chewed my way through 2.8, and I'll probably play it again with my best friend, who is another Kingdom Hearts fanatic. But like I said, I don't know, and I'm very nervous and very anxious for March. But regardless of your opinions, know that this is mine, and I hope you agree with some things that I've said. You can disagree with them. I don't really care. It's just kind of how I see this whole situation. And if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan that is kind of as perturbed at this whole situation as I am, hang in there, my friends. Sooner or later, our games will come, and they're going to be great. We just got to hang in there. We got to keep the faith and struggle forward. With that being said, ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed my little rant here. I know it was a long one, but I appreciate you listening and allowing me to do so. I haven't said this in a while, but if you would please like and subscribe to the video, that would help me out immensely. And until next time, boys and girls, remember 3 things, actually, to this outro. Number 1, I salute you. Number 2, Kingdom Hearts will come. Final Fantasy will come. We just have to believe. And number 3, last but not least, we're all mad here.